This is a presentation on how to build a value proposition that generates leads. Now, creating a value proposition is one thing that's often difficult for sales and marketing professionals. It's difficult to clearly figure out what is it the value that you offer, how to clearly communicate that. In this presentation, we will give you clear guidance on how to clearly identify just the value that you offer. We will help you to identify different types of value that you offer and how to put that back together into a powerful value proposition, and that will help you to lead to improvements in generating leads. So let's just jump right in. Now, let's look at traditional messaging. And I say messaging here because the way we define messaging is everything that you say to a prospect or to a customer. And this can either be over the phone when you're doing sales calls or prospecting, or it could be in meetings, it could be in an email, and it could be at a networking event, or it could even be on your website. And there's many salespeople that have very poor messaging, and let's look at what some very common things are that people say. And picture yourself either at a networking event or receiving a phone call from a salesperson, and let me think about if any of these sound familiar. Hello, well, I work for Initech, and we provide software engineering of bank software. We've been in business for about 16 years, and we are the industry leading provider of software engineering. And so what is wrong with these statements? And the main thing relevant to our topic here today is that there's no value expressed in any of these. We talk about the product we sell, we talk about our company, we talk about how great we think we are according to other people in the industry. And the fact is that this approach is very self-serving, meaning we are talking all about ourselves, and it really feeds more of our own interests. Our own interests really deal with selling our products, making money, growing our business, being able to take vacations. Our prospects have interests of theirs as well, like growing their business and improving things on their side. When you talk in this pattern, you're talking more about how you help yourself and your own stuff. So that's really powerful for a couple reasons. One is the prospect, if you're prospecting and you're reaching out to them, they haven't raised their hand, so they might not yet care about your company, care about what you sell, care about how great you are. The other thing is that you're talking in your own language. You live and breathe this stuff every day. When you say software engineering, you know exactly what that means. This is your language, it's not the prospect's language, so they might not really know what you're talking about. And this is just an example here, but going into more detail in that line of talking, when you get into talking about your features and actual products and what they do, it might go over the prospect's head. You're not talking in their language. This line of discussion doesn't really typically build too much curiosity and interest. It's sort of like being on a date and the other person is talking all about themselves, and it doesn't really maybe make you interested in them. It doesn't make you more curious. It makes you more informed on what they enjoy talking about and their stuff, but it doesn't make you more curious. And one of the most important things with this line of talking is that this line of talk tracks, should I say, is that it triggers guardedness. When you talk with prospects, their guard will be at a medium level. Everything you do and say will make their guard go up, or it will make their guard go down. When you talk like this, their guard goes up. They start to think, okay, salesperson trying to sell something, they're talking about products, they're talking about their company, and I need to begin to protect myself. And that's when people begin to try to get off the phone or get away. So now, why is that relevant to the topic here today? Is because we can replace all of those statements with your value proposition, with value statements. And that's why we're bringing this up today. But why do we do this? Why is it so common for us to fall into this pattern of saying these things? And the reality is you know what? It's very understandable, because If you're a salesperson or if you work for a big company, odds are you've been trained to do just this. They might not have said, say these exact things, but when you get hired, they teach you, this is the company that you work for now. These are the products that we sell or that you're going to be selling. This is what the products do. These are the features that are offered and how much they cost, and these are the benefits provided. When you're trained on this, when you live and breathe this stuff all week, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, this becomes your foundation of knowledge. This is where the training is focused, as I mentioned. This is where you begin to build up a wealth of experience because you end up talking about this stuff all the time. This is where you have a lot of interest because this is where you get paid. So you really, and as well, this is where you have a lot of pride, right? We all sort of begin to drink the Kool-Aid. So you have a lot of interest in this area. The fact is that this is a very inward focus of you. This is a very all about me. And when you have this foundation of knowledge, this is what you rely on when someone says, well, what do you do? Or how can I help you? Or when it's just time for you to talk in a conversation. And when you do that, that's when you start to sound like you're talking all about me. When you're in introductions, you're on the phone, you're sending emails, you're networking, you're building content for your website, you're on social media, you're giving presentations. And this is just not optimum. This is extremely common, but it's not optimum. So what do we suggest? We suggest that you flip the script, literally and figuratively, and that's what we help to do at SalesScripter. And so our methodology begins with value. We push you to say, don't talk about your products, talk about how your products help, and that's value, and that's what we're really going to drill in here today. But there's other elements, and we won't get into those today, but those are our key to our methodology, which is we want you to focus on pain in your messaging. Qualifying your prospect really means asking questions, okay? And so that should be part of your messaging, and this is actually the questions you ask is the most powerful part of your messaging. So when we think about what am I going to say to a prospect, what am I going to say when I get on the phone or in a meeting, the more important thing is what are you going to ask? That's the more powerful thing. And honestly, it's actually easier. It's easier for you to figure out what questions you should ask when you're in front of a prospect than for you to think about how am I going to explain all the great things that I can do. Anyways, so qualify interest. At some point, you do need to build interest for the prospect. But in our methodology, we push you to get you away from talking about features and focus more on ROI. Focus more on how you differ from other competition. Talk about the impacts if someone doesn't purchase from you. Credibility. Talk about examples of how you've helped customers in the past. And then we're talking about messaging here, right? So objections is a key piece of our methodology. Objections are really your prospects' messaging. That's what they say to you to get rid of you. But how you respond to those should be part of your messaging. And when you build a foundation that is of these components, that then, well, the first thing is that's going to get you outside of your comfort zone. Because it's a lot harder or more uncomfortable to talk about all these things than to talk about my company and my products that I know really well. But this is a prospect-focused approach. Value really is talking about your products, but it's really more talking about how your products help your prospect. So even that is very prospect-focused. Pain is the challenges that your prospects are experiencing, and so on. So all of these focus more on your prospects, and when you have that foundation, that impacts everything that you say when you're in an introduction, on a phone, writing an email, and whatnot. So that's our approach. We're going to just focus on that one piece of value here today, although we do have training modules that focus on all of those different, we call them pillars of effective messaging. But what is value? Value at the most basic level is something intangible that transfers from you to your clients or customers when they consume your product. From a business standpoint. Although at a personal level, you offer value to people at a personal level every day. When you make someone laugh, when you teach someone how to do something, when you listen to and are a good listener and are there for somebody. You provide emotional, physical, financial security to someone. So those are ways that value transfers over from you. I mean, you're not really, you might be giving them something physically that's tangible, but there's a lot of value, and those are some of the ways that there's value that wrapped around that. But if you can kind of get your hands around that, you can see how we sell products and services, but we offer value at a business level. So when we help them to save money, to make money, to get access to valuable information, when you help somebody to make their day easier so they have a better work life, you help them to save money. Those are delivering value at a business level. But the key thing here is that it's not what your product does. It's what your product helps your clients to do to achieve, and that's what value is. And that's what you need to get your hands around when you start thinking about what is my value proposition. We actually break value down into 3 levels. At the lowest level, you have technical value, and so this is how you help someone to improve a process or a system. And it's very easy to hear technical value and think, okay, well, I don't sell software or technology, so that doesn't really apply to me. But there's technical value improved in when you make any type of improvement. When you make something work better, and let me give you an example that has nothing to do with technology. You might be a recruiting firm or recruiter, and you might help someone to decrease the amount of time it takes for them to fill positions from 6 months on average to 3 months. And you do that by improving the process and by improving the screening and by you providing your hard work and knowledge and expertise and whatnot. And so that's improving at a technical level. At the technical level, you improve the process of filling positions and you help to drive that decrease of time. But there's also, from a technology standpoint, sure, technical improvements by automating manual processes through software and whatnot. When you deliver technical improvements, those will work their way up to create business value, such as improving revenue or costs. So when you help to decrease the amount of time it takes to staff a position, the production of that business improves because they don't have openings as long. So that's a business improvement. We're able to improve our capacity, our output capacity, which improves our profit and our revenue and decreases our costs. Let's say you sell your service to a particular individual, a vice president of operations or whatnot. When they purchase your services and they're able to realize technical and business value, that will typically help deliver personal value to that buyer. And that could be anywhere in any type of income improvement. Let's say you help them to hit their annual bonus at the end of the year. That bonus goes in their pocket and impacts their family, and that's personal value. So why is this all important? Well, by having a good value, by being able to communicate the value offer, you'll be able to improve your ability to get the prospect's attention. You'll be communicating more in a language they understand. So if you shift from talking about all the speeds and feeds of your technology and you focus more on the improvements that it makes, that's something more that your prospect can understand a little more clearly. It's more in their language. It's more about them and less about you. And this will improve the impression that you make. Buyers deal with a lot of salespeople, and if you get to a level of sophistication, and this takes you in that direction, you'll make a better impression. The first step in figuring out how to communicate the value you offer is to shift from, and I've already kind of scratched the surface on this, but shift from talking about products to benefits. So here are a list of products. These are products that you know exactly what they do. Everybody does. A mobile phone, a car, a portable music device, iPod. You know what these do, so you can talk about these and you don't have to describe the value because everybody knows what they do. And it's even almost ridiculous. But the value that a mobile phone offers is it enables you to make calls from anywhere. You don't have to you don't have to be in your office. You don't have to be at your home phone. You can make them from anywhere, right? You get that. But that's the value that a mobile phone offers you over a landline. And a car enables you to easily and quickly get to your destination. A portable music device enables you to access a library of music from anywhere. So that's the value. And you might say, okay, well, I would never talk about those things in this way. But step back for a minute. When you're talking to think of if you're talking to people that don't know what these are, and that's how you need to think when you're talking about your products or services. Maybe you sell something that's very commoditized, but maybe you don't, or maybe the features that are offered just aren't well known. So instead of just saying, oh, we have a phone, we have a car, we have this, shift over and focus more on the value. And here's a tool that I'm going to show you that you can build on your own. And so just so you know, we have 5 columns here and 4 rows, and you could add more rows, but there's a row for each product that you sell. But I'm going to take you through a process here that maps out the value that helps you to identify the value that you offer. So step 1, pick a product or service that you sell, or a feature. If you only sell one product, you could pick an individual feature. Okay. Step 2 is think about what the function of that product is. So this is a fictional example here. I've never worked for any company that sold anything like this. So some of this might be correct or might be completely wrong, but it's just an example. But we're going to use a software product that's auto inventory replenishment software. Okay. What does it do? Well, at the most basic level, it automatically submits orders to vendors based on inventory levels. Okay, well, that sounds pretty cool. Well, what does that mean from a process standpoint? Well, this will decrease the time spent making orders. Basically, it automates the order submission process. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. We're improving that process. What does that mean from a business standpoint? Well, from a business standpoint, you won't have to you won't have to have as many people, so it'll decrease your staff and labor costs. Okay, well, that's great. If I'm a VP, what does that mean to me? Well, this means you'll be able to improve your work-life balance. And just take an example here. With the software, maybe I don't have to double-check orders every night, which means I can get home and have dinner with my family. Well, that's something that's very important to me, right? So step 6 is to rinse and repeat. We got a couple other products here. Predictive forecasting increases ordering accuracy, decreases inventory costs. Management dashboard decreases the amount of time gathering information, because without this dashboard, I'd have to have meetings every day. Now I view everything without meeting with people, so decreases my time, and it improves my decision making and that improves my bottom line results. I'm able to make better decisions. This helps me get promoted, most likely, because I'm going to be able to be a better VP. So we just basically outlined the value of these products, and we composed some really great value points. And when you have these, that's really good stuff. This might be too much for us to kind of get our hands around. I mean, there's a lot of different points there, and it might be tough to talk about all this if we're on a phone call or in an introduction. So what we want to do, the last step, is to summarize to get to our core values. So you kind of summarize these columns. So you either want to kind of group everything together, or there might be one that is a dominant point that you could either do like a dominant or a summary point. But inventory management software manages inventory levels and orders, improves the ability to manage inventory, decreases inventory and labor costs, and can improve my compensation potential as an executive. So that's our core value, and what we can do is, now that we have our core value, we can mix and match these to create what I call value statements. And this is where we get, by the way, let me go back. So again, you could do this in an Excel spreadsheet. Let me just do a quick plug for SalesScripter. SalesScripter walks you through this by sort of providing the workflow and the questions. So it'll ask you the questions: what's one of the products? How does it help from a technical standpoint? Does it improve processes? It'll help you to extract this knowledge from your head, which can help you if this looks challenging. But once you have all those points, it gets pretty easy to get to a value statement. And by the way, this eliminates, once you're here, that headache of how do I create a value statement or value proposition goes away. So let's look at what okay, a value statement is just basically one sentence that concisely summarizes how you help your clients. Okay. What's not a value statement, what we often use in place of that, and you need to get away from, as my recommendation, is a product introduction statement. We've already talked about this a bit, but here's a example of one that might sound good. But so we sell web-based project management software, a web-based project management software solution that is easy to use and designed specifically for the construction industry. Not bad. I mean, you got a little industry stuff in there, and it's not bad. But it's just it doesn't communicate any value, and it might not be the right thing to lead with. Might be something good to say, once you're in an established conversation, or you have a prospect that comes in that's raising their hand. If we shift that to a more of a value statement, let's look at this. We help businesses to improve their ability to complete projects on time. That's technical value, and that can often lead to a decrease in costs, business value. And you could maybe get a little bit more detailed in terms of what type of costs, but you can see here we basically create one sentence, technical and business value. So that's a good example. Some things that you want to be careful of, not being too company focused when you're trying to create a value statement. I'm with AlterVoice. We're the leading provider of telecommunications and the most reliable wireless network. Not really any value there. Product focus. We just kind of already looked at a product one, but here's another one. Getting too fancy. So this might be one that either could cause you to waste time, or headache, or whatnot. But let's look at one. Because you often think, oh, I need a value proposition. It really needs to have some zing to it, right? And so let's look at one that has some zing, but it's not necessary. We are the industry-leading provider of pipe connection solutions. Our cutting-edge solutions help to unify ventricular flows to optimize strategic liquid placement and transportation. It's just too much of a mouthful. You're not speaking in real language there. This is something that might be better read than said. So it might look okay on a website, but it's not going to be good for your conversational speak. Although I would say your website should be aligned with, if you create value statements that you use for selling, I personally believe your web copy should be somewhat in line with that. But this probably would look good on a website, but not so much here. So those are some pitfalls that you want to avoid. Now I'm going to give you clear direction here for how to take those nuggets of value and put them together to create value statements. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through some templates. And once you have these templates, you can then plug and input different value points to create different statements. And it's very easy. So the first one is what I call short and sweet. So it's basically a statement, and then you just insert either a detail around technical value, business value, or personal value. So here's some examples. We help businesses to improve their ability to effectively manage their inventory levels, technical value. And that's a very good, and something to say to somebody at the very beginning of a conversation. We help businesses to decrease cost of goods sold and administrative time. We help VPs of operations to hit their quarterly production targets. So that's short and sweet. It's just bam. We help businesses to, and then your value. Now, we can get a little fancier here, and we kind of showed one of these earlier, but we connect the technical with business. So we help businesses to improve their ability to effectively manage their inventory levels, and this often leads to a decrease in cost of goods sold as well as administrative time. And so we can this bottom one is just the flip of that. You can basically lead with the business value, and we do this by technical value. So we could connect technical value with personal value. So we help VPs of operations to improve their ability to effectively manage their inventory levels, and this often leads to them being able to consistently hit their quarterly production targets. That's a pretty powerful statement right there. And then the bottom one is the reverse. You lead with, we help VPs of operations to consistently hit their quarterly production targets, and we do this by improving their ability to blah, blah, blah. We could connect business value with personal value, so we help VPs of operations to maximize production capacity, business value, and this often leads to, and then personal value, quarterly production targets, and then the reverse of that. So as you can see with the templates, it gets real easy to create some powerful statements, and you can use these in all different places. Now, the last one, we bring in the product. Okay, now you notice in those other ones we didn't mention the product at all, and I'm not saying to never bring up what you sell and what it does. In fact, if you get into a conversation, it's going to come up. I just say, kind of leave it for later. But sometimes, depending on what you sell, it does make sense to mention it in your value proposition or your value statement. And so here's some examples of how to incorporate it. And there's some of us out there that just can't let go. We want to talk about a product. So for those, here you go. Basically, you lead with by saying we provide inventory management software, and this helps businesses to improve their ability to effectively manage inventory levels, technical value. So, and you can do, these are just the same, but personal value, business value. And so you're just sort of saying what you provide. And so that's a product. Connect the product with value template. Now you might say, those are great. Well, actually, let me back up. You might begin to be getting overwhelmed at this point because you saw the matrix of identifying the value that you offer, and now you're seeing all these templates. What I would say to that is, you can download this presentation and copy these templates, and then you have them. The other thing, I'm going to pitch SalesScripter again here, which I already told you we provide the workflow to extract and help you to identify those value points. The SalesScripter has a library of templates, and we actually have all these templates in these value statement templates in that library. So what we do is we mix and match all these different combinations and provide you a list of these. So you can kind of, not to say that you need like 10 of these, but you need a few, probably at least one for each product that you sell. And I'll talk about more of that in a minute. But the message here, SalesScripter helps you to put all this together if you're beginning to think this is overwhelming. So when would you use a value statement? Once you have this statement, I would use it when you network. If you've ever been networking, you think about it, it's a room of people trying to sell their services, and the most of them, when you say, well, what do? They say, well, I sell this. And you can get by with that. But what about replacing I sell this with we help with this? That's such a more sophisticated, better impression to make. And if the person's curious or the conversation gets started, you'll get to talking about what you sell. So use it when you're networking. Use it when you cold call. When we cold call, we will say the value statement at the very beginning of the phone call. So, and we'll position it as the purpose of the phone call. In reality, the purpose of the phone call might be to get a meeting. But instead of saying that, we'll say, hey, hello, thanks, Mrs. Johnson, for taking our call. The reason why I'm reaching out to you is that we help VPs of sales to decrease their sales staff turnover. So I don't know if that's something you're concerned about, and then we go into our cold call. So use your value statement at the very beginning of a cold call. You can use it when you're giving a presentation. Something I need to add to the slide, use it in an email. Use it as, I get so many emails from salespeople and they start out telling me about the product that they sell. Start out telling me about the value that you have to offer me. And so very simple email template. By the way, there's some of these in SalesScripter, but you say to the prospect, the reason why I'm reaching out to you is that we help sales managers to shorten the amount of time it takes for them to train new salespeople. And I don't know if that's a topic you're interested in. I'll reach out to you again over the phone via the phone next week. So that's a whole email template that I just read to you an email template that you can use, and it's all just based on the value that you offer. I don't even really get into the product that I sell there. So here's something that's really cool: using your value statement to respond to objections. So uh, what you can do is, if you've done any prospecting, some of these might sound familiar. What is this in regards to? So gatekeepers love saying, what is this in regards to? And prospects do too, but they say this to get you to say something that says you're a salesperson. Because the answer to this is something along the lines of, well, I'm calling to schedule a meeting. I'm calling to identify what services you're currently using today. I'm calling to sell you something. I'm calling to identify if you need what we provide, right? Those are the direct answers. You don't want to say any of that. If you say anything that's close to that, then they'll say, well, we're not interested, or send an email to our vendor email box, whatnot. So respond. I want you to do this as soon as you have a value statement. I want you to try this and just sit back and watch to see how they respond, because it's almost entertaining. They'll say, what is this in regards to? Well, the reason why I'm calling is that I help sales managers to improve the performance of new salespeople on their team. And you just wait. And a gatekeeper isn't going to necessarily go, oh, well, we've been waiting for that. Let me connect you with our CEO, But they won't know what to say to get rid of you. They might ask you another question. A lot of times they just put you through because it just throws them off. So just try that. You can use your value statement to reply to objections. So that is the bulk of this piece of the methodology. If you do nothing else but you get a value statement, you use one value statement for everybody, you're going to be taking a huge step forward ahead of what a lot of salespeople do or marketers do. But this last piece here, and we're in the home stretch here, but this is a bit advanced and it might seem overwhelming to you. This is like if you want to go to the next level. So you listen to this, but then you come back to watch this after you've done what we've just shown you. But can you use messaging that is the same for every product or everybody you talk to? Yes. But where you get sophisticated and where you get extremely effective with campaigns and with selling and with marketing is getting messaging that's tailored for the particular audience that you're talking to. And so step one is you could apply an industry focus. Now let me give you an example. So let's go back to the inventory management software. We could ideally sell that to manufacturers who are building stuff and they have inventory of items to build stuff, or we could sell that to a retailer who has an inventory of items that they sell. Now these two audiences likely have different pains, and we help them in different ways. And so we could talk about managing inventory levels, but we could get a little bit more specific for those different audiences. So here are some value statements that focus on the different audiences. We help manufacturers to minimize production interruptions, because there's an interruption when you don't have a particular item. So we help to do that. A retailer doesn't care about that. But that resonates a little bit better. It's a little tighter of a message. For a retailer, we help retailers to minimize any product shortages. Again, a manufacturer might not care about that. So when you get to this level of sophistication, you have a different value statement for the different people that you're talking to. And I want to point out that one way to handle this is you can not map out all the different value statements for anybody that you might potentially talk to, and you have all this floating around in your head. But you might say, you know what, let's have a focus of a campaign where we're really focused on manufacturers right now, and you do that and you create very tailored messaging for them. And you'd maybe do that for a period of time, or you just have that in place. And then when you're good with that, then you might say, okay, another big vertical for us is retail, so let's build some messaging for that. And you take it one step at a time. But unfortunately, you could keep going, right? Because you could apply an organizational level focus to your value statement, to your messaging. Because every organization has different levels. You got sort of the low level manager, the middle manager, director, VP, owner, whatever. And those people are concerned about different things. They have different jobs and different pains, and you could have different messaging. So talking about the inventory management, we help operations managers to minimize product order errors. That might be something that managers are very concerned with. But a VP might not just care about that. It's not his job, he or her job. They push that down, and it's important. They might be interested in what you have to say, but it's not going to be the best thing to lead with. A VP of operations might be really concerned about the output, the production output. So we help VPs of operations to maximize the production output. So that's sort of organizationally kind of being able to really focus on their hot buttons for the different level. Again, disclaimer, this is advanced stuff. But one last area to focus on, departmental focus. So if you're selling B2B and you likely sell primarily to one department, we sell to IT or we sell to HR. There's typically there can often be the case you can sell to more than one, and most often there's typically a primary and a secondary. So yeah, you might sell a software product to IT, but it impacts operations. So you might want to focus on IT all the time, but operations is a good place to prospect into as well. And so you could have different messaging for those different functional areas. So we help VPs of operations to maximize the production output. We help VPs of finance to have more visibility in the per piece average unit cost. So it's a more financial value point. And again, so that's an area, that's a level of sophistication. Again, I just want to sort of pitch SalesScripter. This is one of the powers of SalesScripter, is that we allow you to build campaigns targeting different audiences and keep that messaging completely separate. So you can have a list of questions that you're asking finance and a list of questions that you're asking operations, or a list of questions that you're asking manufacturing and a separate list of questions for retail. So that's one of the cool things about SalesScripter is it'll not just build your messaging and your scripts, but allows you to build out these unique and separate campaigns. So that's pretty much it. Let's just sort of wrap up with some key takeaways. Communicate the value that you offer, and this will help you to get the prospect's attention. This will help you to make a better impression, communicate more effectively. By the way, the title for this presentation is regarding generating leads by improving your value proposition. But if you go through what we just went through, it's not necessarily going to give you this just nuclear value proposition that just blows people away and the leads just flow in after you say it, But what it does is it does all these things. It gets somebody's attention, makes them more curious, doesn't push them away, but like a product introduction statement does, makes a better impression. And just remember, value is not your product; it's what your product helps your prospects to do. You can identify the different types of value that you offer. So, not just we can often just stay in the area of technical value. We help to make this work better. We help to make this more reliable. But what does that mean to me from a business standpoint? Create a value statement that clearly and concisely explains. So, what I'm saying here in terms of saying create a value statement. Once you identify the value that you offer, put that together to create a few different value statements that you can use. Use your value statement to make your introduction more powerful. Once you get that done, you can get a little bit more sophisticated, adding an industry, title, department focus to your pitch. And you always use value statements as one place to redirect objections to. So that's it for the presentation. Now, again, getting back to SalesScripter, if you like that and you like that methodology, you might want to check out SalesScripter. Here's kind of a short explanation of how it works. SalesScripter will ask you questions. So, what do you sell? How does it help? What problems does it fix? What questions should you ask to see if those problems are there? When you answer those questions, your answers are then linked to a library of templates, basically linked to a document library. And so it's extremely powerful. It can take you step by step through all that stuff that we just went through. and make that a lot easier. Now, it's not easy from a standpoint of you have to stop and answer questions, but once you've done that, the work is done for you. It's sort of like I don't know. It's sort of like if you use any kind of software to pay your bills or whatever. Once you've set up all the people that you pay to, it's extremely easy to pay your bills online. But yes, putting in the address and putting in the account number and whatever, it takes a few minutes to get it set up. But once you're there, you would never look back. So if you want more help, if you find this interesting, there's plenty of resources and at different costs in terms of there's a lot for free and more there's more available depending on your investment that you want to make. But we have lots of books and ebooks available. All of this content is located in a book that I wrote that's on Amazon called The Cold Calling Equation Problem Solved. There's a fee for that. There's free ebooks on salescriptor.com. Do's and don'ts of cold calling, how to get around cold call objections. If you like this presentation, there's an ebook aligned with it called How to Build a Value Proposition that Generates Leads, and so on. So get those for free on salescriptor.com. There's also lots of videos to watch. All of this content is part of a 10-week web-based training program. So this is essentially one module out of many in our 10-week web-based training program. That's provided through live training, and we meet once a week for 10 weeks. But the neat thing is that we've recorded all those modules, and if you sign up for SalesScriptor, the paid version, because we have a pay version, we have a free version. Through the paid version, you get access to that training at no cost. So there's a fee for signing up for the 10-week training. You can get it for free with a SalesScriptor subscription. We offer one-on-one sales coaching and consulting. Contact us for that, and check out SalesScriptor because there's a lot of resources on our website as well as in the software that we provide. We also provide a walkthrough service. So if you create your account on SalesScriptor and you want some help answering the questions, we can do that for you as well. Feel free to, here's my personal contact info. Feel free to send me a personal email directly. I'm very approachable. There's my Twitter handle, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just do a search for Michael Halper, SalesScriptor on LinkedIn or whatever. But we look forward to maybe interacting with you on someday. Hope all this information helps. Let us know if we can help in any way. Good luck. Happy hunting.